Hi, I'm Christina Heidick with PTO Answers, and I am back today with five more ways that you can run your PTO or get your PTO on, even if you can't be in the school building. Now, this is a follow-up to a video I did about the first 5 ways that you can get your PTO on. Like last week or the week before, and it was pretty popular, so I decided to come back with 5 additional ways. So I hope that you will be able to implement these ideas in, and it'll help you feel like you're being a successful leader this year and that you're doing kind of what you signed up for. So before I dive into the 5 tips, I just want to give another shout out to the PTO Superstar Leader Group. That is the Facebook community that I started about 3 years ago. And now we have over 8,000 wonderful leaders inside that group ready to give their ideas, their support, all that kind of goodness. And it's all free. All you have to do is go sign up. So go head on over to ptoanswers.com/Facebook, and you will automatically be transported to the membership page where all you have to do is answer the questions, and that's it. Then you just wait till you get inside and get to meet everybody. So again, ptoanswers.com/Facebook. All right, so you guys know I like things in order, right? So a lot of these are going to be like getting your order on. So the first thing that I think you should get in order and develop is a communications plan. I know so many groups were thrown for such a freaking like crazy loop in the spring when suddenly we were sent home, and if we were only relying on paper flyers to get information out, those groups were kind of out of luck because people weren't around to get them and you couldn't make the flyers, right? And all of your events would have been canceled anyways. But if you had planned a plan B, for example, if you had taken your in-person fundraiser and transformed it into an online fundraiser, if you had only been relying on paper communications or PA announcements, actually that would go out, to all the kids in the building, you would have been really out of luck. So in that kind of a situation, you want to avoid that ever happening again. So this is why I think you need to get your communications plan all straightened up. So think about starting a Facebook page if you haven't. Think about starting a Facebook group, because again, I had another video about that went over the differences and why you should do probably a Facebook group in addition to a Facebook page. So go look for that one, and when I get done with this video, I'll drop the link in the description. But you need to have like your own access to emails. You need to be sending out probably a monthly newsletter. If you don't want to do it yourself, see if you can piggyback onto your school. You are your school's partner after all, so they shouldn't have a problem with giving you a little PTO corner in the newsletter. Just make sure that it's short, concise, and clear. So another good idea might be to develop some branded hashtags. So what I mean by that is like coming up with like your school name and your mascot or your school PTO, so that if you're active on Instagram, people will kind of already be familiar with those hashtags and will start following them, so that it'll increase the likelihood that you can get your message out and heard by the right people, even if you're not in school, right? So that's always a good idea to do. Again, something I think you should take care of this year. All right, the second thing I want you to get in all set up and taken care of are your procedures and your forms. So by procedures, I mean like look at areas where your group is having a lot of trouble, and maybe it's not apparent that you're having trouble, but if you're spending an inordinate amount of time on anything, chances are it can be streamlined, it can be improved, it can be made better in some way. So that's where I would focus your time, because if it is such a pain in the tush that you don't really want to do it, you're going to have a harder time getting people down the road to do it, because you're not going to be able to sell it to them very easily. And you're going to be like, hey, you want to be in charge of fundraising? Knowing how much work it is, right? And take that experience compared with hey, you want to be fundraiser chair? I already have all the forms set up for you. So it's just mostly like a step and repeat. You just have to update the information and go ahead and send it out after you pick, the fundraising company you want to work with or whatever. Which feels better to you? Of course, the one that is already organized and has everything set up, right? So I think my overall focus here for even starting PTO Answers was to communicate and get across to other leaders that it just doesn't have to be so hard. Like, I think we're making it hard on ourselves by making things up last minute and kind of as we go, instead of looking at the whole process and thinking, okay, we're planning a drive-through trunk or treat. We're going to need some volunteers. So like thinking about all the steps that are involved with that. So develop the forms that you're going to need. And because we are not meeting in person, now's a great time to also make some digital forms. Use Google Forms. That is like my favorite free tool that I use like all the time. And so it's gotten to the point that anybody in the PTA world, like anybody from my PTAs, they just, if anything, there's like technical or techie or whatever, they say, Christina will know. And I'm always like, girl, just use Google Forms. Like, that's how I made that magic happen. Or just use Google Drive. So use those free tools to set up your systems. And so I want you to develop them, but then you also have to like let other leaders know that the system has been set up. So another great example for someone who gets bogged down with a lot of information, has to do sometimes a lot of legwork if they don't have systems set up, that's treasurers. And I'm going to get into more of this like in a couple videos down the road. Like I have some videos planned out for the next couple weeks, but like treasurers spend a lot of time collecting information that they need in order to do their job. But you can really minimize how much time is involved if you have forms set up and if you are prompting people for information and saying, hey, you want to get reimbursed for that like whatever you purchased on behalf of the PTO, you can't just like send me an email. You have to give me all of this information and turn in a receipt. If you make all that stuff clear, then you don't have to spend time emailing back and forth or calling or being like, hey, Jen, I still haven't gotten that receipt from you. It'll just make life a lot easier if you have a clear process that is all laid out and that everybody knows about, right? And then you also need to follow through so people just don't think like, oh, this is just another new thing, more busy work that we have to comply with. You don't want it to be busy work. You want it to be actually meaningful and that's going to help your group run. So word to the wise. And if you need help with this, stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about this part because processes and systems are like, that's like my thing. So we'll be talking about that in videos coming up. All right, the next thing that I think is a really good idea to implement this year, especially because times are weird and people are not getting the hands-on experience that they otherwise would, consider starting a mentoring program. So this is a really good idea for groups that have a lot of new leaders or for groups who are having or have in the past had a hard time getting people to commit to being a leader, okay? Because it's always easier to do something that you're kind of nervous about if you have a buddy. Think back to like junior high. Did you ever go to the bathroom by yourself? Now, was it because you did not know how to get to the bathroom? Or was it because you really did not want to walk across the cafeteria by yourself up to the bathroom? Come on now, you just wanted a buddy because you just would feel better with someone there to help you out. Same thing goes for having a PTO mentor. It's going to be far easier if you have somebody on tap that you can call with your questions and not feel like, oh, like I think another huge mistake that people get caught up with is that they think like, I should already know this. Like I don't know why I'm so dumb and I should know this already. Why don't I know this? I suck at this. I never should have signed up. What did I get myself into? If you have ever thought that, one, that is complete nonsense. But two, you can like nip all that crap in the bud by having a mentor to talk to, a dedicated person that has said, yes, I will answer any of your stupid questions. And by the way, you know that I have a very strong feeling about stupid questions, that the only stupid question is the one that is not asked, right? So start a mentor program for your leaders, for your volunteers. You're going to be teaching your newer volunteers how, like, kind of the ropes, and not telling them what to do, but kind of giving them broad guidelines about how things work so that they feel comfortable stepping up into something they already have some familiarity with. This will make your group stronger. It will help to dispel cliques. It works magic on so many different levels. And plus it makes you look like you got your crap together, which is another reason why people don't really want to get involved with PTOs, because they think we're a bunch of little like biddies who have nothing better to do than to sit around and make work for ourselves. No, you will look like a well-oiled machine if you say, look, we have this mentoring program. So if you want a whole nother video on that, let me know, because I feel like I have a lot more to say on that, but I don't want to go into too much more right now. So I will move on to the fourth idea of what you can do this year if you can't be in the building. So these last two suggestions kind of switch away from organizational and processes and go more to events, because I know part of the reason why I enjoy doing PTO stuff is because I like seeing the kids. I think they're cute. I think their reactions to seeing a parent in school is funny. I like seeing my kids' reactions to me in school, whether it could be after school, when I'm just at the concession stand. For my oldest child, I kind of do get a little kick out of embarrassing him just a little. And by embarrassing, I mean me standing there and breathing and living and existing. I'm not doing anything embarrassing. But my seventh grader just like loves me because he's a mama's boy. So he he loves seeing me. So it's just, I think it's fun. So anyways, if you are missing that kind of interaction with the kids, I have two ideas for you that are really simple that you can pull off this year, even if you can't be in the school building. So the first idea is to have virtual spirit days. Now, this can be done like as much or as little as you want. This is a great one to do in conjunction with your school if they are feeling like, especially if you have kids that are hybrid or only virtual, like this is a great one for any kind of school situation this year. So you can, for the kids that are in the building, of course, they can dress up with whatever theme it is, but if for the kids who are virtual, give them a way to submit their pictures of themselves all decked out in the theme. And for that, I'm gonna go ahead and suggest the Google Forms, because that's a really easy way. You can submit pictures through Google Forms and just use the same Google form every year or every month or however often you do it. Like there's no need to do a whole separate form for that. Just make it broad enough and to make it fit. Okay, so the last idea, and I've already kind of shared this one with you, I believe, but I'm just going to reiterate it because I think it's timely, and I think it's always good to tell you all things more than once, just in case you happen not to see the video. But do drive-through events. So I think I've already told you about my school district, or some of the schools in my district did a drive-through ice cream social. Well, that went over really, really well, and the district was so happy, they actually paid for it. So it was a PTA idea that they kind of co-opted, but then they paid for it. So I said, I can't complain that much if they're like bankrolling the whole thing, right? So, and they did a large amount of the work. So it was more than just opening up their wallet. But I think it's a great idea to do with ice cream. If you can get like individually packaged donuts, lollipops, we have trick or treat, or Halloween is coming up. So if you were planning to do a trunk or treat, transform it into a drive-through trunk or treat. I think you can really be creative with this. I think I've talked about this before, I don't remember, but I keep seeing on Facebook the candy tubes, like the candy chutes. So you take either a PVC pipe or a mailing tube that's big enough for candy to fit through, and you make it just like, 5-6 feet long. And so that way to do it for a drive-through event, you would just have to make sure that the bottom end where the candy comes out is car height. So you'd want to make sure it's high enough for minivans, but not too high for little cars. Or maybe you could have 2 lines, depending on how many vehicles you think you're going to have each, but try not to overcomplicate it. but that would be like a fun way. I think the kids would actually have fun, like waiting for the candy to come through the chute, you know? So again, these are just like starter ideas just to kind of plant that seed with you so that you can think about it and think about how to make it your own and create a new event. So there we have the five different ideas. Again, communications plan, coming up with your procedures and forms, starting a mentoring program. And I did see that there is a video request from, I think, Myra. I didn't put my glasses on today, so I'm nearly blind. So I will add that to the schedule, girl. We'll be talking about that. And then we have the virtual spirit days and then drive-through events. So again, you can be super, super clever about this and work with your school to achieve this. And I think just because we can't be in the building does not mean we can't be PTOing. We just have to be super clever and like just show everybody how like smarty pants we are and how like savvy we are. So just let this be your inspiration, and I can't wait to hear the kind of events that you guys have going on. And I will do, before I go, one last pitch for the PTO Superstar Leader Group. It is a free Facebook community made up with PTA and PTO nerds just like you. They have tons of ideas and support for you. So go sign up for that at ptoanswers.com/Facebook. I cannot wait to see you inside. So go sign up right now. All right. I will talk to you guys later and take care. Until then, bye-bye.